What's up guys, today I'm going to be doing a little bit different type of video for this week's Freestyle Friday. A lot of you guys requested that you would like to see a Q&A video, so I decided I would do one for this week since I realized I've never done one ever on my channel in the 10 years or so that I've had it. So over the last couple days on Instagram, I posted for you guys to submit questions, and I got about 20 of them, so I'm gonna try to answer them all, and hopefully this will help you learn a little bit more about me. So I'm gonna go through the questions in a way that will have like the least repetition throughout the video. So I try to put them in order based on kind of like the history of my fingerboarding experience. So question number 1 is actually from my boyfriend, John_Petito, and he asked, what's your very first memory of fingerboarding? So what got me into fingerboarding was in 6th grade. I was 12, and one day randomly at lunch, this kid that was in our group of friends at the time just busted out a tech deck out of nowhere and just started popping ollies over his lunchbox. Now, at that point in time, I had already been very interested in snowboarding and skateboarding, so naturally I was drawn to this hobby. And so, of course, like anyone who sees fingerboarding for the first time, they try it, and you can't even get the thing off the ground, so you think this is insane. So because it seemed so difficult, it made me really, really want to learn it. So that same day, I was thinking about where can I buy these? Because at that time I had never even seen them. And then I remembered that I had a fingerboard in my room. It was a keychain, a Skechers keychain of a little skateboard that came with one of their little light up shoes that I had lying around, and I had never thought to fingerboard with it. So I busted that out, and it didn't have any grip. It was completely plastic. The wheels hardly moved, but I would just keep trying to just flip random tricks with that. A couple days later, I went to a store and I specifically went looking for like the tech deck section, and of course they had tons, so my life was kind of changed forever at that point. And my first board was a Tony Hawk like sombrero skull deck. I still have it somewhere, and it came with one of the Tony Hawk Foundation ramps, so I felt like I was set, ready to go, ready to learn. I have my ramp, I have my board, and at that time I thought that was like what a real fingerboard was. And I just practiced like crazy. I remember I'd just be practicing and annoying the crap out of my parents on the kitchen counter trying to learn. I remember my mom would be driving in the car and I'd be trying to fingerboard on the dash. Like, I became obsessed with trying to learn this very quickly. And I picked up actually being able to do tricks within a couple weeks' time, and from there I started making videos, and from there progressed to where we are today. Okay, question number 2 is from Husky Boy Scoots, and he asks, how long have you been fingerboarding for? So I started fingerboarding when I was 12, like I said, back in 6th grade, and I'm 22 now, and I still fingerboard, so it's been a solid decade. The third question is from DW_FB03, and she asks, what inspired you to make ramps? So I've always been into crafting and just making my own things in general, and so my early on fingerboarding experience, I decided that I wanted to make my own ramps. And back then I'd say I was about 13 or so when I started making my own ramps, and at first I would just make them out of cardboard. And back then, when fingerboarding was a lot smaller than it is now, that was pretty common. You would always see YouTube tutorials on like how to make a cardboard half pipe or how to make a quarter pipe out of a cereal box and things like that. So I learned and got some inspiration from other people's videos, and then from there I would just design my own things, and they honestly came out pretty cool. I would mainly use like cereal box material to make the transition since it was so flexible, and I made half pipes, quarter pipes. For the coping, I would cut like plastic hangers and glue them in there, and so those were my early ramps, and that really allowed me to get creative and look around me in a whole new way and think, how can I use this everyday object and turn it into something skatable for fingerboarding? Now you're also probably wondering how like freestyle ramps came to be. I was about 14 years old at the time, so I had been fingerboarding for about 2 years at this point, and so I started learning more about like the real fingerboard scene. And I came across Black River ramps, and of course, when you see those giant plazas and parks that they sell, it's like mind-blowing. And so I remember I was like joking around with my dad, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want for my birthday, you know, just like a little $1,000 plaza, no big deal. And of course I knew I was never gonna get that. So he actually took a look at it and was just like, I could build that. And I was just like, what? Like, you're the coolest dad ever, no way. And he's always been a very crafty person as well. And so I designed a couple elements from one of the Black River plazas that I really wanted to have, like a half pipe. I made a plaza and a couple other of the smaller ramps in it. And we just went to work on that and made a couple, and they did come out pretty good. So then I just naturally started using them in my fingerboard videos on YouTube, and over time people kept asking, like, where did you get those? How did you make those? Could I buy one of those? And once I realized that the interest was so large, I decided that maybe I could make this into a company. And even at 14, I always had this entrepreneurial spirit within me, and so fingerboarding was the perfect outlet for me to really start launching and like exercising that hidden talent that I had deep inside of me. And so just at 14, just like that, I learned on my own how to make a website, how to buy a domain, how to run a business, and I started designing ramps. And together with my dad, we started putting products on the site and selling them to people all over the world. And now here we are. We've been in business for 8 years now. I've learned a lot about woodworking and can do some of the things on my own, and I still work on ramps with my dad to this day, which honestly is pretty awesome, because what 22-year-old daughter can find something to bond about with their dad? So we both really enjoy it, and it's just a really cool way to see designs go from paper to a 3D model on the computer and then go to the final product that you actually ship out. And seeing those products in other people's videos is always the coolest thing, to be like, I made that and now it's, across the country or across the world. It's really, really cool. All right, moving on to question number 4 from 521.fb. He asks, is it tiring to make obstacles? Tiring, I wouldn't really use the word to describe that, but I would say more tedious. A lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes into a lot of these obstacles. For example, some of the ramps that I've even posted on my Instagram story, I'll do a behind the scenes thing just to give you guys an idea of what goes on. And like the Detour bump to flat, for example, probably takes me a good 4 to 5 hours per ramp just to paint. Not to build, but just to do the paint job, because I'm definitely a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I always try to make all the lines super crisp. Woo. Yeah, smooth. So I always try to make the lines super crisp and all the colors pop and make the paint coat even. So I put a lot of love into my ramps. Another ramp that takes a lot of time that most people probably wouldn't think is the brick ledges. So each of those bricks is molded by hand by me. I make the mixture myself, pour it into a mold that me and my dad created for these specific style of bricks. And then they have to sit in the mold for a while. Then you take them out. Then they have to dry for at least a day or so. And then after that, sometimes you have to bake them in the oven to get them even more solid. Then you hand paint each and every one, every single side of all the bricks, and add the brick texture. That's just the painting and brick making. On top of that, you're making the actual base for the ledge. You're using an adhesive to put the bricks on. You're grouting the bricks. You're attaching the top surface material. You're finishing it off with the logos. So it's absolutely a labor of love, and I would not find it tiring. I always love making obstacles, so it's tedious, but it's like the best kind of work. All right, question 5 comes from easy_finger_FB, and he says, has anyone asked you to make a custom obstacle of their design? If not, would you? We do accept customs on the website. That's a feature that I've offered for quite a while now, where if they submit a form and a blueprint, then I will email them back and work with them to take their design and then turn it into an actual ramp. So some people have asked for just slight modifications to the ramps that we have now, like can I have a quarter pipe, like for the low quarter that has the big base because it's meant to be a corner piece. Some people have wanted a skinnier deck for the top. Other people, like for the pool coping ledges, have wanted specific colors for the pool coping instead of the 3 colors we offer. So sometimes it's a simple custom order like the paint job, and then other times it'll be a completely new ramp we've never offered before. But we're always open to seeing what you guys can design up, and if it's something that we feel like we can create in a professional way that matches the quality of our other ramps, and absolutely we're into it. And yeah, if you guys have ideas, just visit the website. Right on the homepage it has the directions on how to submit custom ramps, so check that out if that's what something you're interested in. All right, question number 6 comes from bros_FB, And he says, are you going to sell other things besides ramps? Of course, ramps are our focus for now, but on the website currently we also sell grip tape and stickers. In terms of other like larger fingerboard objects, I'm hoping to eventually be able to maybe make decks, and then also soon I'd like to design either some t-shirts or hoodies or something like that with some really neat artwork on it. So stay tuned, I'm always working on new things, so just keep an eye out. Okay, another question comes from 521.fb, and he says, why ramps, why not decks, or maybe both? Why ramps was just because that's what we initially started off with, and I really enjoy the ramp making process. I'm sure making decks is super cool, but it's almost a different kind of experience when you're making ramps because there are so many intricate cuts and each ramp is so much different. It's a lot different than just slapping veneer together, throwing it in a mold, and sanding it up. I mean, I completely respect the deck making craft, but for me, I really enjoy making ramps. I definitely would like to try my hand at making fingerboard decks, and if that goes well, then who knows, maybe I would try posting some of those on the site as well. Another reason why ramps is just because in general the deck companies is a pretty saturated market. Pretty much every other person seems like they're selling decks. So for me, I really enjoy doing something that's a little bit different and something where there's a little bit more creativity. Because like with boards, there's only so many shapes you can do or so many ply combinations, so many graphics you can do. But when I see building ramps, the options are seriously endless, and that's something that really appeals to me. The next question is from Nova Scotian FB, and he says, trade decks for an obstacle. Unfortunately, I do not trade any of my products for other products, and the only reason why is just because I try to keep it fair for all customers, and because I've said no to other trades that have been offered to me, I just try to keep that as like a policy for everybody. Okay, a third question from 521.fb, and he says, do you sponsor events? Yes, we have sponsored several events over the years. A couple of recent ones that we've done is we've sponsored Kelsey Fingerboard's Stonehouse Sesh in England both years in a row, and that seemed to be pretty successful. And we also recently sponsored an event in Russia, big fingerboard event, and that also seemed like people had a great time there. So it's funny, we've actually sponsored more international events than national, so we'll probably do a couple more in the US next just to try to balance it out and try to get the products widespread everywhere. But I really enjoy sponsoring events, and it's super cool just to be able to give back to the community, give them some products, and get some exposure for some people that may have never even heard of freestyle fingerboards. Okay, next question is from JOnlyBOnlyFB, and he says, would you ever do a loading dock with an L rail on the loading dock? I would love to offer rails on some of the ramps that would look super sick with them, such as the loading dock, because naturally loading docks typically have some type of railing, so it would make it only more realistic. Unfortunately, I am in no way, shape, or form a welder, and so because of that, I don't want to just throw something together that is subpar from the quality that we're used to putting out. So at this moment, rails are not really in the picture. However, I would be so down to collaborate with a rail company or just a fingerboarder that makes rails. And so if that's something that anybody watching this is into, definitely just either message me on YouTube, leave a comment, or DM me on Instagram, and we can work out doing some type of collaboration that works out well for both of us. Okay, last question from 521.fb. Will you be sponsoring more people? At the moment, I do not have any specific dates or plans to add more riders to our team. Right now, I'm very content with our riders and what they do to contribute to the scene. And so at this moment, I don't know when we'll be sponsoring. Maybe sometime in the next year in 2019, maybe we'll add another rider. However, I'm not sure if I'll do tryouts again, because before I opened tryouts for the 2018 team, I had people messaging me on Instagram seriously at least once a day asking to be sponsored. And so because I was getting so much interest, I was like, okay, I'm gonna open tryouts. So I opened tryouts thinking we're gonna get a ton, because I've had hundreds of people ask. And I made a YouTube video, you can check it out here, and it just described kind of what I expect from my riders and kind of like the job duties. And once, I think maybe that intimidated some people, and only like a small handful of people actually tried out, which is totally fine, because there's the people who actually, listened to the video and followed the rules. I mean, I have a very chill and laid back team in the way I run it. However, there's a couple things that I would absolutely expect of anyone who gets sponsored, and one of those things would be that you have to have had or used a freestyle product. I mean, that's just like a natural thing where if you want to ride for us, I'm assuming you are down with the brand and you agree with our mission and you just love the products. And so in order for me to know that you genuinely feel that, I need to know that you've at least tried one of our products and, you know, have enjoyed it. And so I think that kind of scared a lot of people away, because a lot of people who do ask for sponsorships, of course, just want free stuff, and then they're kind of just, you know, go MIA after you send them a sponsor pack. And so when I pick riders, I'm very careful about it, and I look for a lot of things. Of course, how much they're repping. Of course, like, skill plays a factor, but it's not the main factor. It really just for me is to have them having fun, loving the brand, and contributing ideas with me. And I really try to make it more of a tight team, not just sponsored riders on the side. Like, when I have my team, I talk about new products with them, I keep them in the loop, I ask for their advice, so it's really like bringing them into the brand. And so for me, if I'm going to sponsor more people, I may just pick people who I've noticed represent the company. And so this goes for anybody out there watching this, is if you're posting with our products or tagging us, if we're not commenting on every single one, that does not mean at all that I'm not noticing. I watch everything, and I save most of the content to my page once I see someone post it. Whether it's a picture of a vinyl sticker or if it's a crazy edit on one of our biggest ramps. No matter what it is, it means a lot to me that you're using and loving the products. And just know that none of that goes unnoticed, and who knows, maybe one day you'll have a spot on the team. Okay, so question 12 kind of triple dips with other people who ask the same question. So I'm just going to shout out all the people that asked this. Easy_finger_FB, Bingo's Grip, and Dayton Fingerboarder all asked favorite fingerboard obstacle / favorite obstacle that we make. My favorite obstacle would be a tie between our brick ledge or our Mogalani ledge, which is Chill Mode 6's signature ramp, our team rider. Both of them, I'm definitely like a ledge person because I love doing combos, and both of those are meant to be super realistic, and that's one of the main missions of freestyle. Is a lot of our products are either replicas of exact skate spots, such as Chill Mode 6's signature ramp is actually a replica of a ramp he used to actually skate in Hawaii. And the brick ledge is just like a typical brick ledge you'd see anywhere. So I get a lot of inspiration from seeing things around me, and I try to create ramps that bring that out, because ultimately the brand is supposed to be replicating skateboarding. And so I try to tie in as many skate elements into freestyle as I can. So that's also just one more thing to touch on the sponsorship is, like, for skate brands, of course, the team riders are making either some type of money off the products or they're just getting, you know, signature ramps. And so, like, with my team, for example, I gave all my riders a signature ramp, and they all get a cut of the profits every time someone purchases it. So that's just one way that we try to make this as close to skateboarding as we can. Bingo's Grip also asked, what's your current setup? My current setup is right here. I use it in almost all my videos. It's a Savage deck with just regular wide trucks, nothing fancy. Just Savage tuning, I think. Flat face G6Ds that I've had for probably half a decade, and FBS. And it performs great, and that's why I use it in so many of my videos. And it's kind of funny because if you guys have seen my fingerboard collection video, of course I have a lot of decks and different trucks and wheels. And of course, some of them are kind of like the top-notch brands, but at the end of the day, I kind of like the brands that are a little bit under the radar, or if I just like the shape. And, you know, I have Black River trucks, and I have the best tuning in the game, the best wheels, but at the end of the day, for me, just some good wide trucks with some tuning that gets the job done, and some wheels that are smooth, that's all you need. So that's my main setup that you guys have seen in a ton of videos. Oh, and it's pink, so that's good for me. I like pink. So yeah, that's my only pink board. Okay, next question is from Hanger_FB, and he says, favorite company FB related. There are so many companies that I have a ton of respect for in the community, and I enjoy following them because I just really enjoy seeing their creativity and just what they're all about. A couple companies that can come to my mind just right away off the top of my head. Idle Fingerboards. I really love his artwork and his design style, and all his graphics I think are just phenomenal. And because I respect his art so much, that's one of the big reasons why last year we collaborated and we did a fingerboard deck collaboration. So it was my graphic on his boards, and that went really well. So I definitely really respect idle fingerboards. Wired ramps, their ramp material is kind of like the pioneers who started using something other than concrete to get smooth finished obstacles, so I have a lot of respect for their designs. I also really like Bone Lips FB. He hand paints all of his decks, which are absolutely incredible. I really enjoy his artwork style, and just the originality of his graphics is something that I really respect. And there's tons of more companies, but those are 3 main ones I can think of off just the top of my head. Question 15. This question is great. It's from MTRX_tactical_FB. And he says, do you remember when the community was not all hypebeast style and toxic? Yes. Fortunately, I grew up in the time where the community was a lot different than what it is now. And there's a lot of good that's in the community now, but it is nothing compared to what it was, a decade ago, which makes me sound like an old person. But there's a lot of issues that I have found in this community that I've also talked to a bunch of other people who feel the same way. And it's just, like he said, the hype beast. There are the handful 5 companies that everyone feels like they need to buy every stock drop, and those are the best boards to make you look cool. And I don't blame the companies, because at the end of the day, if you have all this hype for your company, why not capitalize on it? I totally get that. They're making ridiculous amounts of money for boards that are of the same quality of a lot of more indie brands. So, I don't blame the companies. It's more of the community that I'm kind of disappointed with, because they're taking a lot of creativity out of this hobby, which is all creativity based. It's a lot of the same graphics that you see. It's a lot of the same tricks that you see, the same video style, and something that bothers me the most is the lack of quality that goes into the edits. And because I'm a film person, I'm an editing person, when I just see crappy Instagram edits that are half out of frame, and you have tricks in there that you're not even landing, but you throw them in because you're too lazy to edit, I don't know, that's that shit that just really bothers me. Because when I started fingerboarding, I loved going on YouTube. I'd check it every day and check out all my favorite videos, because people were posting crazy edits that took so much time, days to film, days to edit. And I owe it to fingerboarding, what gave me my other biggest passion in life, which is filming and editing. And the only reason that happened for me is because the edits back then were so good. Nowadays, if I were 12 years old at this point in my life and that was the type of content I was surrounding myself with, there's no way I would have felt a drive to go make crazy edits and grow my passion for filmmaking. So I'm very fortunate and happy that I grew up in the period of fingerboarding that was at its best, and that I can still stick to the roots of that with the other people who were around during that time, and hope that one day it'll go back to that. Question 16 comes from T.Minnick1004, and he says, what is your favorite trick? I have a few favorite tricks that you guys probably see in all my videos, because I always just do tricks that I really enjoy / look realistic, well, some of them. One of my favorite tricks is just a simple tray flip, because those always look good, it's realistic, and when you have them on lock, they just look great in any combo. I also equally love frontside heel flips and fakie big spins. Ollie.world says, what's your favorite meal? Chinese food. If someone wants to get Chinese food any day, anytime, it can be 2 in the morning, it can be 7 in the morning, I am there. That is the one food that I can eat over and over, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's brand new, whether if it's a day old. So yeah, that's one food that I'll never say no to or turn down, and that's key to a healthy body, of course. So eat your Chinese food. That was freaking hilarious. Of course it dies on the last question. Okay, but I got my camera back up and running, so let's answer this last question by 521.fb, my boy with all the good questions, and he asks, what are your other hobbies? So of course, fingerboarding is the main hobby, as you guys obviously know. Other than that, filming and editing is equally a huge passion of mine. I have my setup right there, because at the moment, I'm a freelance video editor. So I work for myself at the moment, making videos for different clients. I've made tons of different ones, from motorcycle commercials to tutorial videos, interviews, sports supplement company videos, promotional content. It's really cool, and I really love being able to do what I love and make content for people that really appreciate it. But I'm hoping soon to get a full-time editing job somewhere at a company and continue doing the freelance stuff on the side. Another main hobby of mine, of course, is snowboarding. It's something I've been doing since I was 8 years old, and I love it ever since. It's the same excitement I get every season when the mountain opens, the first run. Like, I absolutely live for that. So that's a huge passion of mine. Other than that, I really enjoy working out, fitness, and just general nutritional education. I also really love hiking, hiking different mountains and trails. It's really a great way to clear your mind and just relax and enjoy, take a step away from the constant media and electronics and all that. Just getting outside in nature is always a good way just to give you a little cleanse for the day. Yeah, so those are my main other hobbies. I have a bunch of other smaller ones, but those are the ones that I actively pursue quite often. So yeah, those are all the questions. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to think of questions and submit them. I hope that the answers really satisfy what you were curious about, and I'm hoping that this video helps create a level of transparency between freestyle and snowboarding chick / the YouTube channel and everything behind it, because this is the person behind it. So if you're new to the channel, you may not have known a lot of these things. I hope now that is a little way to know a little bit about me. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm thinking next week we'll do the annual collection video. Comment below if that's something that you're down to watch. It'll be another long video, but it's a little more entertaining than just watching me sit here talk. It's gonna have, all the setups which people love. Thanks guys, thanks for sticking it out with me, and if you watch to the end, then you guys are the best. You guys are the real supporters, and I really appreciate it. Catch you guys the next Freestyle Friday. Peace guys.